Hi there, Danny with Doodlebug Sports, and I want to go over the Shocker RSX, show some of the features of the gun. Now, the gun's very light, lighter than a lot of the other guns in the market, very slim, front grip here and everything. Gun is very neat because it comes with a freak barrel, saves you quite a bit on, buying an accessory, buying an upgraded barrel. You just need the sleeves if you want to get fit other paintballs on there. One of the cool things I found about the gun is that I have a 77 on here, and it feels a lot to me like other guns feel like with the 68, so it's still that nice, light profile. A little bit larger tank gets you a little more capacity with that, like I said, that similar feel of like a 68 tank would on like a Geo, guns like that. So as far as the bolt goes, it's nice and easy to get out. Basically just push the button on the back of the gun here to get the bolt out. That'll get your bolt assembly out, and I'll show you how to lube that here in a second. Also, the gun has got an LCD on the back of the gun, so you push and hold the button to turn it on, and the gun's on. Probably kind of difficult to see, but you can see that eyes are on and everything here. If you turn the eyes on and off, you just push and hold the button, the eyes will turn off. Push and hold the button will cycle it. Basically, pushing and holding that button will cycle it between the eyes being on and off, and to actually turn the gun off, you push and hold for a little bit longer there, and the gun will turn off. Now, to enter into the programming modes, you'll hold the trigger down and power up. And it's kind of difficult to see on this, but you can see that you can cycle through the different modes and make adjustments there. If you want more information on that, check your manual, but it's relatively easy to switch between the different modes and everything here. So now I'll show you how to lube the bolt. So we've got the bolt out of our Shocker. Basically all you're going to do is you're going to take and you can actually unscrew the front part of the firing can here from the back. That gets your bolt assembly apart. I typically will take the front O-ring off of the tip of the bolt. You can use your fingers to kind of squeeze that O-ring to roll it off, and that gets your bolt firing can rear part of your bolt, and then you'll have the tip O-ring here. Now, one of the things you want to do when you lube your bolt is make sure you wipe it off. Just take your nice clean microfiber, wipe off all the old lube on the gun, on the bolt. Get everything nice and clean. And what you'll do is you'll take and just put a thin coating of lube. I get a little bit on my finger here. It's just a sleek lube, Dow 33. A little bit on the tail. A little bit on, this is actually what seals the air from going down the bolt. You get a little bit here on the sail O-ring, which is what moves the bolt back and forth. And that's basically, you're going to do a little bit on the tip here too. There is an O-ring in the can that seals up against the front part of the bolt here. Just take that, slide it back in, move it around a little bit. I'll put the tip O-ring back on, and put just a little bit of lube on there, and then take and I'll slide the screw the two halves back together. Now, you do want to take and get a little bit of grease on the outer O-rings here. These are what we call static O-rings. They're not actually moving back and forth. So it only takes a little bit on those. Just get a little bit smeared on your fingers. Lube the outside of the bolt. And that's all you got to do. So now I wanted to explain to you a little bit about how the bolt itself actually works. So there's a couple components, very similar to a lot of other paintball guns, as far as there's a volume of air that's going to actually go to the ball to fire the ball, and there's air that pushes the bolt back and forth. So the main component of actually moving the bolt back and forth here is, I'm going to pull this tip O-ring off just to show you guys here how this works, is on the bolt itself there's a O-ring here. Now that's what we call the sail O-ring. It's what actually allows the bolt to get pushed back and forth, okay? The O-ring in the front there is actually a bumper, so when the bolt goes forward, you don't have any metal on metal contact, okay? So when this thing slams forward, that O-ring is actually, preventing that metal on metal contact. So what happens is the solenoid's actually going to deliver air between these two O-rings to those holes that you'll see on your firing can. That actually is going to deliver that air, and it's going to push the sail O-ring back. So now the bolt's sitting back, okay? Now, there's another component that I'll explain in a second of the volume of air that actually fires the ball. So what will happen though is each time you pull the trigger, the solenoid's going to switch, and it's going to actually vent the air from this front side of the bolt here, and the air that is actually firing the ball is going to push on that sail O-ring, and it's going to cause the bolt to move forward to make it stroke, okay? Once the dwell time expires, it's going to reapply the air through these set of holes here to the sail O-ring to push the bolt back, okay? Now the other thing that you have happening is that as the bolt's moving back and forth, basically you got the two O-rings on the tail of the bolt here. So when this thing's all the way back, you can see that the two O-rings are actually a little bit farther back than the holes here on the blue part of the bolt assembly. What that does, that actually allows air to go through the center of the bolt and fill up this portion here, right? That's the volume of air that's going to actually fire the ball. Now, when the bolt's back, the air is shut off by the O-ring inside of this groove. So it'll come back, air is shut off right here, okay? And it's shut off when it's all the way back. Now when it goes to make its forward cycle, it's kind of difficult to see here, but there's the cuts that are in the bolt. So when those cuts break that O-ring there, the point of that O-ring, the air is allowed to escape from this area up around, through this part here to the center of the bolt to actually fire the ball. So you have two very simple things that are happening. Is basically that stroke of the bolt, and once it breaks that plane there, it's going to actually allow the air to go to the ball. So now another cool thing that's happening is as this bolt comes forward, you can see that O-ring right there. It'll line up with the blue grooves now. What's that doing? That's actually shutting off the air supply to this, the volume of air that's firing your ball. What that does, it helps make the gun a little bit more efficient. It's controlling the air that's actually able to go to the ball. So if your bolt ever got stuck forward, you wouldn't just have the gun continuing to leak because the air supply to that's going to fire the ball is shut off. It's very controlled, so helps with the efficiency of the gun there. So, all right, so we're going to do a little efficiency test here. I filled the bottle up to just over 4,000 psi. Don't know if you'll be able to see that very clearly, but it's about what we had in our bank. So I did fill it twice, so it's right at like probably 4,100 psi. Filled up twice. So we got a case of the GI 4-star here. So we'll see how much we can actually shoot. Now the gun is set to 12.5 PSP mode. So. You should turn on your hopper. You can definitely see the nice thick fill that the 4-star's got. See it spraying off. Like obviously when it hits the target, it leaves a very visible mark. Except for this, it'll be 1,000 rounds. is 1,000 rounds, no problem. Looks like we're down to just under 1,000 so far. Let's see what last little bit we can get out of it. Now we're starting to get a little drop off here. We got probably another 50 rounds in there, so about, I would say, 1,100, 1,150. Now the drop off's definitely noticeable enough that you'd probably stop playing. So say I get just shy of 1,200 rounds off of approximately a 4,000 fill on a 77 cubic inch tank. So I think that gives you a pretty good overview of the Shocker. I have used this gun the last few weeks during our Sunday Fun Day play here at the outdoor park. Carry about 8 pods. I'm able to shoot all of those off of this tank, and really the gun's ball on ball, shoots great. So if you have any other questions, feel free to message me or leave a comment on this video.